Actually, I'm going to talk about this when we start. So let's start. Hello.
Hello.
Hello. Hi. What is this again? It's the Edible Valley podcast. My name is William Stringer.
And I'm Chef Jonathan Frazier. And today we're going to open up the walk-in cooler.
Welcome to the Edible Valley podcast.
We want to invite you as we embark on a culinary journey through the heart of Vancouver Island
From the fertile fields,
to the pristine waters of the Pacific Ocean.
we'll explore the stories behind the food that nourishes us.
Tune in to each episode as we deep dive into the flavors, the traditions, and the innovations that make this a true paradise.
Now please join us as we explore our Edible Valley.
Okay. I was expecting you to say the walk-in fridge. You say cooler. I can't imagine you getting into one of those things that you take on a picnic. But John has explained to me something that chefs go into the walk-in cooler to unload stress. I've worked in restaurants for many years, and I never noticed. I just went in there to eat.
Yeah, well, it's always been... what I wanted to do today is talk a little bit about supporting our chefs. You know, your favorite restaurant, the people in the restaurants you work with,
Yeah.
the chefs that are in there, especially this time of year, how hot it is, how much extra work they have to put in, you know, the sacrifices they make. And then just sort of talk about some strategies for well-being in the kitchen, right? And so my thoughts were the walk-in cooler is the one place that all chefs go that when you're just at that point and things are just going wrong, you can just go in there and you can take a moment to just say every obscene, every improper word that you've ever imagined in your life, just to get it out of your system, because it's, you know, they're good 1.5 foot thick walls in there. It's very soundproof, and you can just unwind a little bit and have that patience, you know, have that time to, you know, get it out of your system, right?
I almost think a TV show where they had cameras in the walk-in and maybe there was about 4 or 5 restaurants and you kind of just build up an idea of what's going on in their restaurant that night, but then they focus on what's going on in the fridge. And it's just really, really angry shouting. I mean, anyone that's ever worked in a restaurant will tell you, you work with some fruit and nutters and it's easy to joke and say, oh, they're crazy or whatever. And it really is true to say, though, I mean, you notice a lot of issues when a chef gets busy, when they're behind the counter in really hot temperatures, maybe for 12, 13 hours, and they've assembled their, 150th quesadilla or whatever, they're going to start going mental. And that's when they go in the walk-in.
This is something I can attest to. Like, this has been my
life.
life.
You're who I'm talking about.
This is my life for the last 30 years. And this is the first year that I've actually stepped out of the kitchen. So this is my first summer that I haven't been in the kitchen the entire summer.
You've got a bit more of a spring in your step.
I'm feeling much more relaxed. I'm feeling much better. I'm feeling good about myself. Which reminds me, I forgot to say happy birthday, Will.
Oh, thanks very much. I actually forgot about that. I sent you an email. Thank you very much. Yes.
Yeah.
40 years old.
40 years old, and you got away for a little bit.
What does that mean? Yeah, I went to Palm Springs. There is a reason. And okay, so if you were born in North America, particularly in the northern part of North America, Canada, or the northern part of the US, you will have some information embedded into you that other people in the world do not. Any guesses?
No.
Okay, that bit of information, because you know this, and I'm going to bet you were born with this information. It's genetically passed on.
Let it on.
That you don't go to Palm Springs in July. Because it was 120 degrees. I mean, it was mental.
So our last podcast where we're talking about nice light meals really paid off for you, I'm guessing.
No, I still ate the absolute worst of the worst. No, we went to some great restaurants. We did have to be in the air conditioning quite a lot of the time. I mean, the heat is something I've never experienced before. But beyond that, I actually love the US. I think it's a wonderful country with wonderful people. I really enjoyed seeing my sister, and the whole thing was wonderful. We went to see an amazing Angels game at the Angels Stadium in LA, in Anaheim.
Oh, wow.
We lost, unfortunately, to the Oakland team. But, it was so much fun. I had the best burger there as well. I wasn't expecting anything of it. I went up to the counter and I was like, oh, I'll go for the double cheeseburger, please. No tomato. And he was like, honey, this is the stadium. Like, they're making like 1,000 of these things. They're not taking out the tomato for little old me. So she just handed it to me as it was. Wow. Amazing.
Oh, yeah?
Really I was like, oh my God, this wasn't about $28. I would have bought another one. Anyway, so yeah, really, really great time. Birthday was amazing. We went to an AR. What's that when you put on the big glasses?
The VR.
VR. We went to VR escape room.
Did you?
Which was just so much fun.
That sounds like a
food. Dinosaurs coming down and handing you clues and really good. Yeah, lots and lots of lovely food. So thank you very much.
Excellent. Well, happy birthday.
Thank you.
I guess we should get back to the show here.
Yeah, let's get back to the show.
We're going to talk about chefs and discuss like a lot of the things that impact chefs.
I actually want to do something quick. I just can completely. We've got a camera on. You can watch this on YouTube. Dance. I'm holding up $1 bill. There it is.
Taking
there you
that
go.
dollar.
You earned it. He earned his dollar.
Thank you.
Right, now you can say you've done that.
Yeah. It's in my pocket. Oh, good times. Okay, let's get back to this. Okay, so we were talking. We're joking around, and I want to get serious. So let's
I know you do. I know. This is why I'm on the podcast. You're the one with the information.
It's to keep people happy, right?
It is.
You keep everyone happy.
Yes, what I do. That's what I do. Right.
Anyways,
so unique challenges facing chefs.
Well, we got to talk about a chef's position, right?
Yeah.
They're responsible for all the people. I mean, let's talk about even chefs and cooks and anyone that's in the kitchen, right?
Yeah.
So you're working on weekends, you're working in the evenings, you're working on busy times. It's always a hot time. It's when everyone else is relaxing.
Yeah.
You're responsible for making sure every food is done cooked properly, that the temperatures are right, that you're controlling and keeping a clean environment to work in, right? So that there's no chances of bacteria or something getting sick. So, I mean, a lot of these times, a lot of chefs find themselves, they say that about 74% of chefs lose sleep to the point of exhaustion because of their job.
Wow.
53 feel like they're pushed past the breaking point. And about 34% feel like they're underappreciated in their jobs.
Right.
So I was reading these stats and I was like, you know what? Let's go out there and do some things to sort of support the chefs out there, to really give them a positive outlook and thank them for the hard work they do, because we wouldn't have those amazing burgers you had at the stadium
without someone actually building it,
without actually
doing
taking
those
the
long
time.
hours.
So I mean, the fact is we have to look at things that are like work balance for chefs, right? And that's where I burnt out. That was the part that destroyed me in the industry, is just solely focusing on my job and not looking at the outside environment, which really was painful on me.
Oh, I bet. Absolutely. Yeah.
So I think some of the things we have to look at with chefs, and this is if you're a restaurant owner or just someone that comes in, is like encouraging time off to your chefs, you know?
Yeah.
Give them the time
Actually
off.
trying to make that happen.
Try to give them 2 days off together.
Yeah. Switch the phone off.
Yes.
Don't call them for anything. Actually let them reset.
Yeah. And then try and implement a flexible work shift for them, right? That can accommodate their life ordeals, the things you have to deal with outside of work, and just give them the sort of flexibility not to burn out.
So it says here that and this is a great statistic, 21% more productive if you do that. So out of, I guess you could argue if you have 5 chefs, say you're a place like Locals, a bigger place,
right?
You've got 5 chefs. If you can do that to everyone, then you've basically got a free chef. You've got an extra chef. You've got can you do it like that with maths? You've got basically 100% more productivity. You've got another chef.
Exactly. You basically have another chef in your kitchen.
And everyone's happier.
Everyone's happier. Everyone's covering each other, right?
And if the chef's not happy, the restaurant's not happy.
Exactly.
I mean, you could say that about the servers as well, and it would be true.
Yeah.
But really, let's be honest, head chef, very important.
Yeah. And you know what? The fact is I always believe that happy people make happy food.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like, okay, this is a little spiritual or whatever, but I feel like when you have positive energy and you have that, and you're putting up dishes with that positive energy, the people that are eating it feel that energy.
Yeah, they can feel it.
You know?
Oh, yeah.
It's definitely
100%.
So yeah, it's definitely like, you know, working in a healthy environment, fostering a supportive and respectful workplace culture, right?
What kind of management techniques have you found there is then in restaurants?
What kind there are?
Yeah, stress management.
I think the whole environment is changing a lot because I think a lot of chefs are realizing that this is a common occurrence, right?
Yeah.
And the amount of effort that chefs put into a dish, like some chefs will take up to a year just work on one dish, right? Like, and some say you don't
to make a dish,
just to make a dish that's qualified to be served at your restaurant.
Yeah.
Like they say it takes 1,000 times to become make the perfect dish, right?
Yeah.
Like you have to make it 1,000 times. So you know what? Like giving them that ability to be able to spend that time to actually culture what they're trying to accomplish.
100%.
Right?
Yeah.
Like a lot of times you get thrown into the thing where I want a menu. We need to change the menu. We need to get creative. And they're like, we need it tomorrow. And you're like, well, you know what? Like, I've just put in 16 hours and it's just doing burgers and fries, and I can't even fathom.
I can't even fathom it.
How to combine other flavors together and take that little bit of effort. So
back in the day, I used to work in a restaurant called River Cottage. I'm actually wearing the T-shirt for it right now. It's part of a UK TV show actually started by Hugh Fearnley-Whittingstall, and basically the idea was it was a very good idea, but they would change the menu every day. They would have a blackboard with all the food on, and the menu would be changed from scratch every day, depending on what you're getting from the farms, which is an amazing idea. But can you imagine the stress for the chef, because everything's going out untested, first time. I mean, it might not be the first time ever, but there's an element of having a menu brings an element of stability. Taking that away brings an element of instability.
Yes.
It brought the customers in droves, but I can't even imagine.
No, but I get that. And on honest spec, I used to love the fact when I got to create fresh sheets every day.
Yeah.
And I got to create new dishes every day. And it was really creative, great atmosphere for me. But it also came to that point when I had to start managing people and then had to realize that I had to give up that ability to allow others to take it on, like I had to make sure that the food was there. I had to make sure that the staff showed up. All those little things.
We ran out of the chef was knackered and he did the menu, press print, said, right, there you go. There's the menu. It was given out to all the clients, all the customers. Guess what happened?
Spell wrong.
He hadn't taken the cost prices off. So every price had brackets and then a much lower price. Now, of course, it takes a lot to run a restaurant.
Yeah.
But when someone is buying a dish for £20 and they see it says brackets £2, they're going to be a bit annoyed. And someone was like, what's that small number? And it was my section I was serving. And I tried to pass it off as a new initiative. I was like, we just want to be really transparent. And they were like, you're keeping £18 on every 20 for a profit. It's not something I would recommend.
No. I mean, I could go out there and explain that to them where that £18 are going. That's a really easy one. But it is a really hard thing to swallow when you look at your
exactly. It's like a vet. Eva works as a vet nurse, and I tell you what, you would not imagine the extra costs that come on vets. It is unbelievable, which is why they're so expensive. Vets are not rich. Trust me.
I feel that's not true.
They might make a reasonably good salary, but they are working for it, and the costs for vets that they have to incur is unbelievable. Yeah,
there's insurance, 100%. All the medical equipment. It's crazy.
And it's not even one species. Like when you go to North Island, hospital, it's at least is one species. What's your human? Brilliant. Next,
easy, Instead of this is a horse, now we got a cow, dog, cat, my pet frog.
Yeah, there we go.
So another thing I was thinking about is like definitely encouraging some physical exercise.
Yeah.
This is something that I think, and I'm really excited about this industry, our industry, my industry for sure, is that there is a development, and we went to a mental health seminar down in Victoria, or at least I did with some other chefs.
Okay.
And it was a really good time. Learned a lot of great information about leadership and be able to work with people in the environment and all of those things. And it was really neat that we did a board, and they were like, what are things that you do to relax? And everyone was putting up, I go for a run, I go for a bike ride, I go play volleyball. Like it was all getting out and doing good activities, like healthy activities, getting exercise. And that was how we kept ourselves better. And it was funny when they brought up the point that about 10 years ago, 15 years ago, it was like going out and having a drink with my friends, having a beer at the end of work. And that atmosphere has changed a bit. And so a lot of our industry was, very drug and alcohol abuse.
Right.
And I think we're finding ways to deal with that. I think it's part of, as I say, opening up that walk-in cooler and talking about what's going on in our lives, right?
Because I honestly, like when I used to work in hospitality, I thought to myself sometimes, what if I lived in a country in the world where this was a great thing to do? Because it's not respected in the West. It's not respected where I was or here. And what if I lived in a country where actually serving tables was a good, and it was just job stability and you could do it the rest of your life? I probably wouldn't have minded that much.
Right.
But it's the fact that I didn't want to be a waiter forever. But actually, what's the problem with it? Well, it's because it's got unnecessary levels of stress. But as you say, if you're changing it, not making it so it's just about acting like you're 12 and getting drunk constantly and, all that kind of stuff, then it actually becomes a much more pleasant place if you are a bit more professional.
It's about being professional. Yeah, I get that.
And I wasn't, I was something of a prankster.
And we've all
some
done
of it
that.
will lay at my door. But
well, that's
nice.
true. So another thing we could talk about with is hydration in the kitchen, making sure when you're in the kitchen, when you're working, that you're always getting liquids in you.
Yeah.
And having a healthy, nutritious meal.
Yeah.
Eating good food.
Yeah.
I know it's one of those things that we are notoriously bad in the food industry for just going the whole day and then eating the most biggest garbage, the quickest food we can throw together at the end of the day, sitting on a box in the back corner and just slurping back some noodles or just anything to give us a little bit of nourishment. So maybe just looking forward in your job while you're working is that make sure you have a snack with you. Maybe you have something to keep you energized and keep you going.
And water. Like, was it you that said a few weeks ago, the amount of Pepsi you were knocking back?
Oh, geez. Ridiculous.
Water. I mean, I can't stress enough. Water. It is so important.
It's all about keeping yourself hydrated, keeping yourself going.
Yeah.
Some other things I was thinking about, you know what? Going out and getting professional counseling.
Well,
you know what?
Yeah.
I do.
It's so common now.
Monthly, I go out and I sit down with a counselor and I just talk. And
I don't think I know that many people that don't.
Yeah.
And I think it's such a strength these days that people just own that.
Yeah. And you know what? A lot of times I feel like my counseling appointments, I'm just talking about good news and just, just unloading.
Actual gratitude.
Just really unloading and having a good time, And sometimes, it's like maybe I don't need it, but it's the one time that I actually sit down and take time to think about my own personal needs. Yeah. And express them.
And you need to, like putting your own life jacket on first, you need to help yourself first because then you can help other people.
Oh, that's a good one.
When I was checking in at Palm Springs Airport, checking in for a flight back up to Calgary, I went up to the check-in desk. This is African-American guy there. And I was like, hey, how are you doing? And his answer was so inspirational. He said, I am blessed and grateful. Thank you.
Oh.
And then, how are you? And I was like, you're blessed and grateful. That's amazing. I just thought, what a great answer. Having your head together you're able to actually see what a lovely life you might have and actually appreciate that life. Whereas if you're just being buffeted from pillar to post constantly, you don't. When we all have a 70, 80, 90 hour week, we're not ourselves. We want to smash things up.
Oh, totally.
But we'll also have those days when you walk in the grocery store and you want to talk to everyone. Everyone's your best friend and
get it all out.
It's a big difference.
Oh, for sure.
Really big difference.
Excellent. Yes. So another thing to do is just regularly checking in with everyone.
Other people.
You know what? Other people.
Yeah.
And I want to bring this one up is there's a one thing, when you go to someone, you say, how are you doing? And they go, doing good. And then you go, you know what? No, actually, how are you really doing? How are you feeling about what's going on in the job here? Yeah. Just because most people instant is just to be like, it's
good.
Positive, it's good, good. We're just going to push through it. And you're like, no. Let's take a second just to see what's bothering you and what's and it's one of the hardest things to do with another person because it's taking that criticism from you.
Yeah, and it is very culturally unusual to say anything other than I'm good. Mm-hmm. Because you don't want to be a bother.
Exactly.
You want to be strong. And it's difficult. But if someone is a head chef and they're looking at one of the people working in their kitchen, dig a little deeper. And if they've developed that trust, those people are going to open up.
Yeah.
And they're going to, develop more trust.
And when you work with people long enough, you learn their their do's and don'ts. And sometimes, there's a thing of that person who gets really upset and, oh, they're just going to blow off steam. It's like, hey, no, let's have a second.
Yeah.
Let's both of us walk off.
Yeah.
Have a second. Let's go walk in the cooler together. Talk for a little bit. No one else has to deal with it. No one has to worry about it. And then get back to it.
I used to work in a restaurant in Kingston, Ontario. And you knew the chef was pretty highly strung. And every now and then there'd be a new worker. And either that worker would be brilliant and they'd stay.
Of course.
Or you'd just hear screaming. And then him literally chasing the guy out the restaurant. And you'd hear him chasing him down the street, literally waving his fist, going, "Don't ever come back." And I said to him, "This isn't Italy. We don't do things like that. You need to stop doing this." He was, bless him, he was a great guy. But wow, awesome. Very highly strung. Probably overworked.
Definitely.
Looking at it now. Great guy, probably overworked.
A little bit overworked.
Yeah.
One other thing I want to go back on this and do a couple more episodes where we really get into talking about some of this stuff.
Great subject,
and if anyone out there has some issues or has some questions about us, how to deal with things, send it to us. We'd love to talk about it.
Yeah.
We'd love to find some experts that can talk with us about it and dive a little bit deeper into this issue. But the one thing I'm going to throw out there is community involvement.
Right.
Because you know what? As chefs, we are a part of a community.
Yeah.
As cooks, we're part of a community.
Yeah.
As people in our town, we're part of this community. And so being a little bit a part of it. And I know everyone has their own personal wills of how much they want to outreach, but just getting involved and doing some little things outside that just bring a little positive to you.
I agree. And actually, you're someone that gets me out of my shell in that area. I have my things that I do, but things like the Shellfish Festival really pulled me out of my shell. And I felt like $1 million after that. A very tired $1 million, but $1 million nevertheless.
Well, I'm going to send one more out there because I'm organizing a chef's night out.
Oh,
on August 22nd up in Campbell River.
Just add a bit of extra.
No, and what this is for me, I'm organizing this as a chance for the chefs in the community. And it's starting with the Chefs Association.
Oh, okay.
But what we're trying to do is every 2 months is go into another establishment.
Right.
And just sit down and have some
Make
food.
their lives hell. Oh, I see what you mean.
Yeah. No, but a very casual moment to go in and sample some food in a place that maybe we wouldn't get to or maybe we hadn't thought of, or felt a little intimidated to go approach it by ourselves.
Yeah.
And so we're going to go into that place, sit down, have some drinks, have some food.
I love it.
That's
get to
a wonderful
idea.
And unwind and sort of know and support each other.
Yeah.
So it's open to all chefs, cooks, anyone out there who's interested in it. So if you want to send me an email at ediblevalley@gmail.com, I can set you up and introduce you to some of the other chefs in the town that'll be coming up to that.
What a community. What a great community. I love
That's
it.
my cell for the North Vancouver Island Chefs Association. So for the day. So.
Oh, I love it. All right. Well, I do agree. We need to hit this more because it is actually one of the main things about hospitality, particularly the stress. So I think there's a lot of different people we can talk to about this,
of course,
and really kind of crack open this shell. So thank you for bringing that to the table. I wouldn't have even thought about it.
Fun.
The next couple of weeks, I want to talk about UPFs. Do you know what UPF is?
No.
It's an ultra-processed foods.
Oh, your favorite foods.
If you want some practice reading, Ultra-Processed People. It's a book that just came out. Forget everything you've heard about processed foods, unprocessed foods, and ultra-processed foods. This is going to blow your mind. It's going to change the way you live. It is unbelievable. So the only way, other than reading the book, is to listen to the podcast when that comes out in the next fortnight.
Yeah. And then we are going to have a guest in here shortly.
Yeah. Let's get a guest.
Yeah.
We've kind of done the studio now.
Yeah. Well, I checked out a good old friend of ours.
Yeah.
Who's working at a new coffee shop on 5th Street.
Oh, cool. Who?
Yeah. JP. Our good friend JP.
JP's working at a coffee shop?
Yeah. So the new one, Frazier. Oh, gosh. I'm blanking on the name of it.
Oh, no. Come on, John.
I have a lovely wife who knows I forget silly things.
All right.
Like
we're not going to hold the podcast until your lovely wife responds.
I got it right there.
All right. Okay. Listen to read the program. Oh, is that a thing?
That's a new little coffee shop.
I'm looking forward to that. Okay.
Anyway, so JP is going to come in here. He'll tell us a little bit about his coffee shop, but more, I'd like to pick his brain about cocktails.
Excellent. Love it.
We'll do some mixing.
Thank you so much for listening. As always, it is an absolute honour to have your ear for however long. And thank you also very much to 98.9 Jet FM and Jet Nation, the Comox Valley's best rock. We use their studio, their state-of-the-art downtown Courtney studio. We are so grateful, and we absolutely adore and cherish the partnership that we do have with the Jets.
Yes. I also like to say thank you for Locals Restaurant for supporting us and promoting us to go out and reach out to the other restaurants and the other farms and people that create food in our valley.
Yeah, it's
so they're big
honestly,
supporters
it really makes it. Yeah,
for sure.
Thanks very much, and that's it from me, William Stringer.
I'm Chef Jonathan Frazier.
What's the out? Okay, bye.
Don't hide in the cooler.